What's up guys, it's Trevor with Embers. Today, we're actually putting our barbecues and our indoor appliances to work. So I know you guys think all we do is sell barbecues and we sell appliances. No. Today, I'm gonna make a really delicious, tasty meal, and we're gonna be smoking on the barbecue, and we're gonna be cooking on our Evo. I'm really excited, let's go. Okay, first things first, if you're in the Denver, Colorado area, come to our showroom today. Check out our awesome indoor kitchen where everything is functional. You can shop appliances. We're gonna show you how we're using some of our barbecues. If you're new to our channel, make sure to subscribe, gives us a thumbs up, helps us out a ton. Another little side note, go over and check out our golf channel. We'll include links below. A little side hustle we're doing here. Okay, so what do we got going today? Today I'm gonna be smoking a tri-tip. We're gonna be putting zucchini and squash on our Evo, and then we're also going to be finishing this on the Evo, sort of a reverse sear, and then we're going to be making an awesome sort of chili sauce to go on top of our tri-tip. Check this out. This is extra virgin olive oil. My wife and I just went to Tuscany, bought this myself in Tuscany. I'm really excited to give this a shot. Okay, first thing we got to do is get the tri-tip on the smoker because it'll take about an hour to smoke. Then we can do our other prep work. But obviously you can see this tri-tip is so fatty. So first thing we gotta do is get to work and trim this. So a tri-tip is naturally a lean cut of meat. So you wanna leave some fat on it if you're doing an untrimmed tri-tip. And, but the reason you gotta take all this off, this is like hard fat. That's never gonna render down in the smoker or anything. You kind of almost want like the soft buttery fat to stay on because that's going to actually render down when we cook it. So I'm just trying to take this off. So the reason I love tri-tip is one, it's a pretty lean cut of meat. So if you're, watching your weight or on a diet or something, you don't want to be pounding ribeyes, like this is a good substitution. Two, tri-tip feeds a lot of people. And three, it's a big enough cut where you can smoke it like we're going to today and get some of that flavorful smoke profile, kind of like a longer cook, like a brisket, but not nearly as long. And then also we can finish it and sear it just like we would a steak. So it's very universal. So that's why I chose tri-tip. Okay, so you can see I trimmed off most of the fat. There's still plenty of fat in here that's gonna sort of render or marble down. Now what's interesting is, you know why it's called a tri-tip? You know why, Chris?
3 sides, 3 points.
Yeah, so it's basically 3 different parts of the cow. So the grain is running 3 different directions. So we got it running this way, and then back again this way. So 3 different chunks of muscle, I guess you'd say. So way I like to season it, my favorite way is put a good binder on it. I use yellow mustard. You're not gonna taste it, so it really doesn't matter. I don't like to get too fancy pants with red meat. I think you can get too cute, and you can definitely overdo it. So I like to use my favorite seasoning, SPG, which is a beef dry rub. And this guy is essentially salt, pepper, garlic. So you can just salt and pepper it yourself, but obviously having a little rub saves you a little time. So let's flip it over. And you kind of just pat in the seasoning. It's very peppery because it always makes me want to sneeze. Then I always just kind of hit the sides like this. It's probably a better way to do that, but that's what I'm doing. Now this is basically ready to go on the smoker. Okay, so we're using our meter probe. That's how I'm going to read the temp. I think it's one of the biggest mistakes people make. It's even good chefs that are really skilled at their craft read temp controls. And I love the meter because check this out. Now we just have it right on our tablet. I can monitor from in here while we start our other prep work. Now all we gotta do is put this on. Okay, so my weapon of choice today, I went with the Coyote pellet smoker. So I love pellet smokers because with pellet smokers we get a lot of flavor, and you can see our pellets load from the front here. So here's our pellets. And then also pellet smokers are nice because they have perfect temperature control. So now I can work for a little bit and I don't have to babysit this like with one of our charcoal grills. So it's only at 250 degrees. So if you're putting it on like a hotter gas grill where you're searing right off the bat, you want to make sure that that steak isn't cold right out of the fridge, or all that the tendons are going to seize up on you. So we're going low and slow, so we're super worried about that, but we'll come back and check on this about an hour or so. So now while our tri-tip's smoking, let's make our pepper sauce. So it's really simple, 4 ingredients. We've got 3 serranos, garlic, extra virgin olive oil, and white wine vinegar. So I like to start, and I just kind of like to roll these peppers out a little bit. Gives you a little extra spice, I feel like, before you slice them up. I don't know the science behind it, but I just do it. It's science. First thing we're gonna do is just slice our serranos into thin little slices. Okay, so you kind of dice them pretty thin, and you could take the seeds out depending on how spicy or not you like it. Now I know what you're saying, serrano peppers, that's not even very spicy. Trust me, the way you prepare this, it really brings out the spice in these peppers. This ends up a very, very spicy sauce, which I like. And the reason I like this sauce is, I told you tri-tip's a pretty lean cut. So although it, has flavor, I mean, it's not gonna have the flavor of like a ribeye or something. So I think a little spicy sort of pepper sauce is perfect in this guy. So same thing with our garlic. You want to crush it, then dice it. Okay, so now we got our peppers and garlic in here. The secret ingredient is Himalayan sea salt. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna be pretty generous with the salt. It's probably good. And then just kind of mix it together. Just like this. That salt, what it does, I can smell it. It pulls out the spice. So the secret sauce, no pun intended, is to let this sit in the salt with no other ingredients for a while. So we're just gonna set that to the side. So this is why I absolutely love the meter. So I know the temperature of our cut of meat, and I also know the ambient temperature of the grill, and I can just set this iPad right by us while we're doing our prep work and sort of keep an eye on it. So it really is awesome. Okay, next thing I need to do is get our zucchini and squash ready. These I'm just slicing kind of medium. These are gonna be fun though, because these are going right on the griddle. So not really fried, but we're gonna be using some olive oil and some seasoning. It's gonna add some nice color to the plate for sure. All right, got our zucchinis and squash cut up, check that out. That's gonna add some nice color. Now, we need some Italian olive oil that I personally brought back from Tuscany, right? Now, what I noticed with real olive oil, extra virgin olive oil from Tuscany, something about it just tastes a little more earthy. Like it's in a good way. Like it has a little more flavor. Let me just taste it. Yeah, it's very like, dirt's not the right word, not the right word, but it's definitely packing more of a punch for sure. So olive oil, and then I'm just gonna throw, what the heck, we'll just throw the same steak seasoning in here. The olive oil is kind of acting as a binder. And literally just stir it up. All right, so now let's get back to our chili sauce. I think we're getting pretty close. Same thing, let me do a little taste here. It's ready. Hope you like it spicy. All right, I'm gonna throw a little splash of white wine vinegar, not a lot, just a little dollop. Because the star of the show is really our olive oil. All right, let's get our olive oil in there. Our Italian olive oil. It's ready. I'll just let that kind of do its thing for a little bit. All right, now we're gonna kind of let this season with a little olive oil, kind of let it warm up a little bit, get the temp, because our steak's gonna be ready to pull here in a minute or so. All right, so we're at 100 degrees internal temp, which means it's time to pull this bad boy. Obviously at 100 degrees, it's not done yet, but we're gonna finish it with a sear. All right, so just gonna get some slabs of butter going on here. This is really the only unhealthy part. Here we go. But I like to flip it a couple times, that way you don't burn the outside. I want a nice crispy outside, but I don't want to burn. All right, so you can see we got a nice little crust on the outside. Look at that. Oh yeah. So now what I like to do, because it has so much butter in it, I like to wrap it in butcher paper while we let it rest. So I'm gonna let it rest for about, I don't know, 10 minutes or so. And you don't have to be real tight with this because it's not a brisket or anything. So we're just gonna kind of let it do its thing. Well, that's resting. Now we can get going on our zucchini. Ooh. So this is why I love the Evo. I can literally get at this thing from any angle. So that's awesome. Okay, so they're ready. I like them to soften up to where they're not so crazy crunchy like when they're raw, but also if you overcook them, they can get soggy in a hurry. So just like your steak, there's a fine line. All right. Okay, we are now ready to plate. Look at that. That's why I like to wrap it in butcher paper, because it absorbs some of that. You don't need all of that. I mean, that's ridiculous. All right, let's see how she looks. I always like to sample the end piece. The end piece is probably more like a medium. Kind of dip it in the sauce. And the reason I reverse sear is it captures that smoke flavor. If you sear right away, it's gonna lock in that meat and you can't get any smoke out of it. And I like to finish with the sear because it gives us a buttery finish, but also a nice little crunch on the outside. And this, I think our thermometer is a little off. That's more like a medium, which is okay. I was going for medium rare, but as long as we didn't get well done, you don't want that. All right, now for the money shot, time to plate. This is to taste. And again, because the tri-tip's not very fatty, it's a nice way to get a little oily spice to it. I mean, does that look like a nice steak dinner or not? How awesome is that? So it's easy. It's gonna feed 4 people at least. All right, let's try it all together, but I'm afraid to, honestly, I don't wanna mess it up. So pretty. Such a pretty plate. First, I'm gonna try the steak all by itself. Get some of that sauce in there. Oh my gosh. I outdid myself. Only thing I could have done was cook the steak a little less. You guys ripped me last time because it was too raw, so I went a little on the safe side. All right, let's try it with zucchini. Perfect. Stay tuned for more videos. Really easy recipe. We'll see you guys next time.